my beer, folks.
So what was your very first show?
The Pajama Game in the fall of '84.
Cool.
Yeah.
And how many shows have you done since, Jim?
Well, the one we're about to do is my 45th as a performer on an Orpheus stage.
My goodness.
But I've been involved with all of them, somewhere. So 21 years times 3 shows. Do the math.
63.
Do you have a favorite?
Well, I've been asked that before, and different shows bring back different pleasant memories. But probably one of the favorite shows was Big River, which is before your decade.
That's okay.
It is, yeah. Because it's one of these shows that everybody would come back and do in a heartbeat. Everybody had such a good time. And there's been other shows where the show was terrific and I had a good time. There's been other shows where the show sucked and I still had a good time doing what I was doing, which is what it's all about. And so, you know, for different reasons, different shows are.
Why Big River?
Why Big River?
Yeah.
Well, it's actually a terrific show to begin with. And I had a terrific part. And everybody was in it was cast so well. The leads, of course, Huck and Jim, were excellent. And the songs are wonderful, and it was just a lot of fun to be with that group of people, and we were putting on a quality product, and we loved it.
My favorite part of that one was Sharon O'Neill singing.
She did that at the Show Tune Showdown.
Did she? Oh, cool.
Yeah, got good marks for that one.
I bet.
Yeah, how blessed we are. And
How to Succeed?
How to Succeed was fun, but in different ways, because I got to shove my face into what's-her-name's chest. And I got to sit in this chair. This is my chair from that one.
That is your chair from that one. That's right.
We purchased this chair, and they wouldn't sell it to me because Rob Henderson wanted to use it for board meetings.
Brilliant.
Wanted to sit in it at board meetings. But yeah, no, if you had a list of the shows, because having been in most of them, I could tell you stories about each of them, but I forget what they are.
Well, what about...
The Music Man was fun.
Yeah.
Sold anvils in the Music Man.
Very cool.
And got to be beaten up by the leading man and kissed by the leading lady. Yeah, and there was one night where Al wasn't at the rehearsal, and I beat myself up. Because basically he would just grab me and throw me to the ground. So he wasn't there, and of course I did what I always did, and everybody's looking at me thinking, oh my God, that looked realistic. And I said to them, well, who do you really think throws me to the ground night after night anyway? It's me. So that's the only safe way to do it, is to have me, do it. So I didn't need him. So we did it that way. And we had a neat effect with my satchel. By the way, I've had the same satchel in Oklahoma, and the Music Man, and something else. I carried the same darn satchel. But we had some stage weights in it, so that the theory being me, an anvil salesman, whenever I dropped it, it sounded like it had anvils in it, which it didn't really, but it made a neat sound. And I always dropped it right next to a stage mic for further effect. So I got to drop it twice, which means 2 laughs in that scene. And of course, the part where Shauna grabs me and kisses me, it says right in the script, it is a long kiss. It's in the script.
Brilliant.
You're a by-the-book sort of guy.
Gotta do. The man's gotta do.
So, what about Anne of Green Gables?
Great role. Privileged to play that one.
And who were you in that
I
one?
was Matthew.
I know that, but they need to know.
Yeah, I was Matthew, and it was a great privilege to play the role. And once again, really enjoyed doing it and interacting with the people. Got to have Charlotte Stewart as Marilla, which was great. And I can't say much more without breaking up.
Your dance scene in Sweet Charity was...
Yeah, as Marvin.
Yes, Marvin.
Marvin, the man who had to pay women to dance with him, which was fun because it was Charity's number. She's singing the number, and I'm there as effectively stage dressing. But we 3 of us choreographed the number. It was Sean and me and Nikki. And we wound up with finishing it with me being thrown off stage. But the interesting thing was, for those who know these things, the dance was slightly different every night. Because we just went up and danced. And as long as we were in the right place at certain points, nobody knew, nobody cared, and we had a good time. That's all there is to it. We were both very comfortable out there because, of course, you can't go wrong with Nikki. She's very relaxed. One of the interesting stories about Sweet Charity, of course, probably won't make it to your ebook, but is the fellow that took fits, Peter. And mild epileptic fits. And of course, one night on stage, he was a waiter taking their order, and he went into one of his cuisinaires, and he was just standing there, and without missing a beat, she stood up, continued her dialogue, walked him off stage, came back, continuing her dialogue, and all was fine.
I was there. Cool.
Yeah. And of course, has anybody told the Grease story yet?
No, please do.
Well, I wasn't in Greece, but I was definitely in the audience, thanks to some friends of mine. I was doing publicity in those days, and I'd already seen the show and rehearsals and everything, but I was selling programs, and these friends said, well, we got an extra seat, want to come and see it? Why not? Tuesday night performance or whatever. So there's a scene where we're in, is it Frenchie's basement? And once again, it's Nick, and the big thing is that she's going to let on that she's pregnant. And the way they'd set it up was the question is, who's the father? And at that point, what's his name? I forgot his name.
Step.
Step Perchnicki?
Step.
But I was trying to think of his character name.
Kinnicky.
Kinnicky. Kinnicky was supposed to burp. A little burp, which gave the audience the clue, like, who's the father? Burp, no one you know, or an equivalent line. Well, this particular night, he gave a burp that went on and on and on. And of course, then the two girls were still in this intense scene, except they're looking at each other, trying not to break up, trying not to crack up. And there isn't anybody in the entire building that doesn't realize this is going on. The audience is sitting there watching it, and of course we're killing ourselves because we're seeing this, and it's just hilarious, the fact that they're trying not to crack up. And then they eventually pulled it back together, and then Nick, again, to her credit, she goes on and sings the heavy-duty song, There Are Worse Things I Could Do. And of course, after the show, in the lobby, I sought her out and teased her about there wasn't that, well, she didn't like it. Oh no, that was terrible. And I'm saying, no, everybody in the audience loved it. And then Sean, the director, comes down and he pointed out it was very much like Tim Conway and Harvey Korman. Tim trying to break up Harvey, everybody being in on it, it's like one big in-joke, and everybody enjoys it. And I think since then she's revised her opinion. Of course, they didn't do it the next night. It was so I was fortunate enough, by virtue of having the Snippers offer me their extra ticket, to be able to see it. Because if I wasn't there, I wouldn't have seen it. You know, that's the ethereal thing about theater. It's there and it's gone. Live theater. So that's the Grease story. Brian Smith, who's actually retired, is playing Emile Debec, the older gentleman who falls in love with the younger Nellie Forbush. And I'm playing Captain George Brackett, who is the commander of the naval base there. And all went well, except that then this one particular scene, it opens in Captain Brackett's office. Now, Captain Brackett's office has one entrance, stage right. Have to go by the telegraph operator or radio operator, a wireless operator, to come in and to go out. That's the way it's set up. But the scene opens from black. So it's gone to black, there's been a curtain, whatever, they changed the scenery, up comes the lights, and Captain Brackett is in mid-conversation with Emile Debec. So we do all the rehearsals, we do the dress rehearsal, we have opening night, blah, blah, blah. We get down to Tuesday night. The lights come up, no Emile Debec. Not there. So I'm in theory in mid-conversation with a man who's not there. So Sam Smith and I were not really good at improv, we discovered. And the only thing going through my mind was, turn the lights back down. You know, if you come up and you haven't got everybody, turn them down and you find them. No, they didn't do that. So with my brain paralyzed with this one thought, we mimed looking at a map, checking watches we didn't have on our wrists, and trying to stall. Meanwhile, somebody on the God mic was going, Brian Smith, the stage left, Brian Smith. They could hear it in the audience. Christine Moran told me they could hear it in the audience. Finally, Brian shows up, walks on from stage left, even though the entrance and exit to my office is there, in a dinner jacket, because he'd forgotten about that whole scene and was changing for his next scene until he heard the page. Walks on out of the blue, and was I smart enough to say something like, did you find the washroom okay? Or, you know, good, I'm glad my jacket fits you, or anything like that. No, I just took up with the script and crossed my fingers that everybody else wouldn't be so shaken that we'd ruin the rest of the scene. And went on. Of course, after, I mean, you can't let that go, you got to tease Brian. But it's a fine line to walk because you don't want to make the guy feel worse than he already does. So we walked it anyway. We teased him and let him where he was.